Have you ever paused to consider the origins of the names we use for countries around the world? These names, seemingly simple, often carry fascinating stories of cultural exchange, historical encounters, and linguistic evolution. Take Japan, for instance. Why do we, in the English-speaking world, call it Japan, a name so familiar and widely recognized? When the people there, in the land we call Japan, call it Nippon or sometimes Nihon. The discrepancy between these names is more than just a linguistic quirk. The answer is a fascinating journey through centuries of trade, cultural exchange, and the often imperfect process of translation. It's a story that spans continents and involves a cast of characters from emperors to explorers, and, at times, sheer misunderstanding. The evolution of a name can reveal a great deal about the complex interactions between different societies. The name's path connects ancient Chinese dynasties whose influence rippled outwards across East Asia, shaping language and culture. It involves Venetian explorers like Marco Polo, who ventured into the unknown and brought back tales of distant lands. And it features Portuguese merchants, who sailed the seas in search of new trade routes and opportunities, further disseminating these names across the globe. Instead of a direct translation, a simple and straightforward transfer of meaning, something else happened. The word Japan is an echo, a reverberation of sounds and interpretations that traveled across borders and languages. It was shaped by outsiders' perceptions and pronunciations, molded by the ears and tongues of those who heard the name from afar. The characters Ri-ben, which represent the country, are the same in both Japan and China, a testament to the shared cultural heritage of the region. But pronounced differently, a subtle divergence that set in motion a chain of linguistic events. Nippon or Nihon in Japanese, each with its own nuance and usage. Ribbon in Mandarin, a sound that would eventually morph into the name we know today. This difference, this seemingly small variation in pronunciation, is the starting point for our story, the key to unlocking the mystery of Japan. The Chinese pronunciation traveled along trade routes carried by merchants, diplomats, and adventurers who traversed the Silk Road and other ancient pathways. It reached travelers and cartographers in distant lands, individuals eager to learn about and document the world around them. These cartographers and scribes then transcribed it into their own languages, adapting the sounds to fit their own linguistic frameworks. The name Japan is a historical artifact, a linguistic fossil that tells a story of connection and transformation. It's a reminder that place names are often shaped by outsiders, by the way they perceive and interpret the sounds and cultures they encounter. So, to understand how Nippon, the name used by the Japanese people themselves, became Japan, the name recognized around the world, we need to trace the name's journey, following its path across continents and through the annals of history. It's a journey across cultures and centuries, a voyage through the intricate web of human interaction. It's a story of how a country's identity is shaped both from within, by its own language, culture, and traditions, and by the world looking in, by the perceptions and interpretations of those who encounter it from afar. Let's unravel how a name rooted in the rising sun, a land known as the origin of daylight, became a global symbol, a name instantly recognizable and associated with a vibrant and dynamic nation. Before Japan emerged as the nation we recognize today, with its rich culture and global influence, it was known by different names, each reflecting a unique stage in its historical development. These names offer a glimpse into the early perceptions and interactions that shaped the island nation. Most notably, it was referred to as Wa, a designation meticulously recorded in ancient Chinese chronicles. These historical records provide invaluable insights into the early relationship between China and the archipelago that would eventually become Japan. Wa, pronounced Wo in Chinese, unfortunately carried a somewhat derogatory tone. This reflected China's perspective on its neighboring lands and peoples, a view often colored by notions of cultural superiority and perceived differences. The nuances of this early naming convention reveal a complex dynamic between the two cultures. However, as Japan began to unify under the ascendant Yamato clan, a new name began to surface, signaling a shift in identity and power. This marked a pivotal moment in Japanese history, as the nation started to forge its own distinct path. Yamato emerged not just as a geographical term, but as a powerful symbol of self-identity and national pride. It represented a growing sense of unity and a desire to define themselves on their own terms, independent of external perceptions. This significant shift marked Japan's burgeoning sense of unity and a growing desire for independence from Chinese influence. The adoption of Yamato was a deliberate act of self-assertion, a declaration of their own unique cultural and political identity. The legendary Prince Shotoku, a key figure in early Japanese history, famously addressed the Chinese emperor with a bold assertion. He declared himself the sovereign of the land where the sun rises, pointedly rejecting the subservient implications of the name Wa. This was more than just a change in nomenclature, it was a statement of sovereignty. This was a bold claim of equality on the international stage, signifying the birth of a new national identity, one that refused to be defined by external powers. It was a pivotal moment in shaping Japan's future trajectory. The transition from Wa to Yamato was therefore a deliberate and carefully considered move designed to assert national dignity and autonomy in the face of external pressures and historical perceptions. Reflecting this profound shift in national consciousness, even the very character used to represent Wa underwent a transformation. It was eventually changed to a character signifying harmony, reflecting a new national ethos that emphasized internal unity and peaceful coexistence. This change symbolized a deeper cultural transformation. These early names and the stories behind them offer a fascinating glimpse into how Japan's evolving identity was intricately shaped by its complex relationship with China and the broader East Asian region. With the foundations laid, the stage was now set for the emergence of a name that would truly capture the unique spirit and aspirations of this rising nation. The journey from Wa to Yamato was not an end, but rather a crucial and transformative beginning, paving the way for the Japan we know today. In the 7th or 8th century, a significant transformation was brewing in the archipelago we now know as Japan. This era was marked by profound cultural and political shifts, as the island nation began to assert its own distinct identity on the world stage. Japan's leaders, recognizing the need for a name that truly reflected their burgeoning national consciousness, embarked on a quest to find a new moniker. This decision was not taken lightly, it was a deliberate act of self-definition, a statement of intent to the surrounding world. The name they ultimately chose was Riben, a combination of two powerful kanji characters. These characters, when brought together, carry a profound meaning: origin of the sun. Pronounced Nihon or Nippon, depending on the context and level of formality, the name resonated deeply with the Japanese people. It poetically became known as the land of the rising sun, a beautiful and evocative description that captured the essence of Japan's geographical location and its aspirations for the future. This name reflected both geography, its position as the easternmost land in relation to the Asian continent, east of China, where the sun rises, painting the sky with vibrant hues each morning, and a new sense of national pride, a feeling of unity and purpose that would propel the nation forward. Adopting Riben was more than just a change of name, it was a declaration of independence from China's long-standing influence and its naming conventions. It was a bold step towards establishing a unique Japanese identity. The name appeared in official records, solidifying its place in the annals of Japanese history, and in diplomatic correspondence signaling a new era of international relations. It became central to Japanese identity, woven into the fabric of the nation's culture, traditions, and collective consciousness. Even today, centuries later, both Nippon and Nihon are used, a testament to the enduring legacy of this pivotal moment in Japanese history. Nippon is often reserved for formal occasions, adding a touch of gravitas and tradition to official pronouncements and ceremonies, and Nihon for everyday speech, a more casual and familiar way of referring to the nation in daily conversations. This duality adds nuance to the country's self-image, reflecting the complex interplay between tradition and modernity that defines contemporary Japan. The name's symbolism endures, prominently seen in the national flag, a powerful emblem of the rising sun, and in countless cultural references that celebrate Japan's unique heritage. By choosing Riben, Japan claimed its place not just on the map, but in the global imagination, as the land where the day begins, a beacon of hope and renewal. It was a powerful act of self-definition, a bold assertion of national identity that would shape the course of Japanese history for centuries to come. The new name marked a turning point in Japan's history, a moment of profound significance that set the stage for the nation's rise as a major cultural and economic power. It was both a break from the past, a rejection of foreign domination, and a vision for the future, a commitment to building a strong and independent nation. The world, however, would come to know it by a different name, a name that would carry its own weight and significance in the unfolding story of Japan. While Japan called itself Nippon, the outside world learned the name through China. Chinese traders pronounced riben as ribbon, and this version spread along the Silk Road and maritime trade routes. In southern Chinese dialects, it sounded like Jatpun or Jitpun, closer to Japan. These dialects were spoken in major trading ports, so their pronunciation traveled far. Southeast Asian merchants and travelers picked up these versions, not the Japanese original. The name Japan is a product of this linguistic game of telephone. It was filtered through Chinese before reaching the wider world. This is how the name began its transformation, long before Europeans arrived. The next step in the journey would come from a Venetian who never set foot in Japan. Enter Marco Polo, the Venetian explorer who brought tales of a golden island called Cipangu to Europe. Polo heard the name in China, likely a version of ribbon or a dialectal form, and transcribed it as cipangu. His stories of Cipangu's wealth and golden palaces fired the imagination of Europe. Cipangu appeared on maps as a land of riches, inspiring explorers like Columbus to seek it out. Though Polo never visited Japan, his writings introduced the country to the West. Cipangu became the first European iteration of the name, a bridge between Chinese and Western languages. The legend of Cipangu set the stage for direct contact. When Europeans finally arrived, they already had a name and high expectations. The myth of Cipangu would soon give way to a new, more familiar name. In the 16th century, Portuguese traders reached Japan, hearing its name from Chinese and Malay intermediaries. They recorded it as Japao, based on the southern Chinese or Malay pronunciation. This version spread quickly through European languages. The Dutch adapted it to Japan, and the English followed suit. By the 17th century, maps across Europe used the name Japan. The name's journey, from Nippon to Riben to Japang to Japao to Japan, was complete. This transformation was driven by trade, language, and the global networks of the era. The name Japan is a legacy of these early encounters and exchanges. Today Japan lives with two names, Nippon or Nihon at home, and Japan abroad. Nippon is used in formal settings and carries deep national pride. Japan is the name recognized worldwide, used in diplomacy, business, and media. The government has debated standardizing Nippon internationally, but both names remain official. This duality reflects Japan's balance between tradition and global engagement. Nippon represents self-identity, Japan, the country's international face. The coexistence of both names tells a story of adaptation and resilience. It's a reminder of Japan's unique historical path. The two names are not in conflict. They're two sides of the same coin. The story of why we call it Japan is more than a linguistic curiosity. It's a lesson in history, perception, and cultural exchange. The name Japan is a relic of centuries of trade, translation, and myth-making. Names shape how we see a place before we ever visit. Understanding this journey helps us see Japan on its own terms, beyond stereotypes and legends. The parallel stories of Nippon and Japan reveal a nation shaping its own identity while being shaped by the world. Once a name takes hold globally, it's hard to change, a testament to the inertia of history. The tale of these two names is about connection, misunderstanding, and the power of words. Every name has a hidden journey behind it. What other country names have stories like this? Let us know in the comments. Subscribe for more hidden histories behind the names on our maps.